Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the BBC Talent Show. Exciting.
That's not going to work.
No.
No, okay. Cut.
Cut. Good evening.
And welcome to the very first
BBC Variety Show. Hey Jean, what's the screen up for?
Well, it's because of COVID.
Oh, okay, very good. That makes sense.
Let's carry on.
Oh.
Larry, what's the screen for now?
Anti-fly.
Oh, good point.
Well, that was a good start, Jean. I really appreciate all the cooperation we have here on stage. So good evening again, and welcome to the very first BBC Variety Show. It's going to be a terrific night, so make sure that you get your popcorn, everything organized, so you can watch the whole thing together with family or on your own.
Our first number tonight is a musical number with a bit of an audience participation twist. Doug Crow, our talented guitar player from our worship team, is going to play the intro to 10 popular songs, and it's your job to name that tune. You can send your answers to me at parodyj.ca. The address is here. I will compile the answers, and the winner will be announced at Scott's weekly update next week. So listen up and see how many you can name. Go ahead. Well, that dog sure is an amazing guitar player.
And wow, is he ever a quick change artist as well? For our next act, and believe me, this is an act, my father, Bill Buzan, is going to tell us 3 of his favorite jokes. Now, I know some of you have heard some of this before, but let's make sure we hold our applause to the very end. You'll love it.
Okay, good evening. I've got 3 jokes for you. I hope you like them. First one is about the small Baptist church in Saskatchewan. They were doing some renovating, and they found they were short of funds. And so the minister of the church said to the deacons board, go into the business community and see if they will help you raise the rest of the money. And so they went into the business community, and they got some monies, but they didn't have enough. So one of them was a Jewish tailor, and he said, well, I've got nothing to do with the Baptists. And he said, I'll give you $500 towards it. How's that? The deacon said, fine. They went back and told the minister that the Jewish tailor was giving $5,000, not $500, $5,000. They went back to the Jewish tailor and said, look, you've been misquoted. You said 500, others have quoted you to saying 5,000. What's your take? He said, well, I'll be pleased to give the $5,000 as long as I can choose the Bible verse from the New Testament on the plaque you're going to put up for the renovation. They said, you got a deal. You give us the 5,000, you put the Bible verse up. So the day came and they moved the veil away from the plaque, and what did the Bible verse say? I was a stranger and you took me. Joke number 2 is about the different Baptist churches, or whether they're Baptist or not doesn't matter, the nurseries in the churches that have all the babies. There should be a Bible verse over the door before you go in. And what does that Bible verse say? We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. And joke number 3 is about these 2 fellows, older fellows, just like me, and they decided that they weren't going to live forever, so they made a pact, P-A-C-T, that the first one that died and went to heaven, he has to get back to the guy on earth and tell the guy, is there golf in heaven? So this happened. One of them did die, and he got back to the guy on earth, and the guy on earth said, is there golf in heaven? He says, well, just a minute. I have news for you. I have good news and bad news. What's the good news? The good news is there is golf in heaven. Well, what can the bad news be? You're teeing off up here tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock.
That last one really got me. Thank you, Bill. That was great. Next on the program, I can really appreciate this performance. We have a photo montage from Ramona Heichel. She took pictures in Fish Creek Park and some videos, and she put it together as a montage with music, and it's beautiful. So sit back and enjoy.
Wow, Ramona, that was fantastic. Beautiful shots and what a great setup. We really appreciate that act. Now for our next act, we're going to get a little more physical as our youth minister, Eric McComish, is going to show us all about his skateboarding prowess. Stay tuned. Wow, Eric, that was amazing. Fantastic job. So, Jean, what's your count?
Well, I have 12. And you?
I have 14. Just to let everybody in on what's going on, Jean and I were counting how many broken bones we'd have if we just attempted to do what Eric just did.
Well, folks, that brings us to our very first performance of the night. And in keeping with the wave of fake news we've seen this past year, we thought, Larry and I, it would be appropriate to conduct a fake interview with Pastor Scott. So here we go. Good evening. Pastor Scott has been really busy during the pandemic, and not a lot of people have been able to see him or talk to him. So tonight, we thought Larry and I would have a casual chat with him. Pastor Scott, in this interview, we're going to ask you some questions, but full disclosure, you're not really standing on the platform. Actually, your answers are going to be culled from some of your past sermons.
Is that allowed?
Well, we're going to do it anyway. Of course, some of your answers to our question may surprise some people, but I hope they realize that this is completely made up and you had nothing to do with it.
Well, wait a minute. Just hold on.
So let's start. Pastor Scott, first of all, we want to thank you for being here tonight. I know you're a little reluctant to do this interview. We had to ask you quite a few times.
Finally, I had to give in.
We even enlisted Pastor Samuel to get you to do this interview with us.
He probably responds to bribes.
Don't worry. Relax. We're going to go easy on you.
I hope so.
So this will be over in no time. What do you think?
We might have a little fun with this.
So serving coffee after the service is a really important ministry. Helps people get together, get to know each other. On some Sundays, though, there's no one to serve coffee. So what happens then?
Social upheaval. There's suddenly a lot of violence.
That bad? Wow. You'd think that the people who want coffee will have volunteered to serve it sometimes.
Newsflash, they didn't.
So now that we have church open and we're slowly coming back, I guess the big disappointment is because of COVID and we're not serving coffee.
It's a challenging time that we're in.
So we can't serve coffee in church. Do you think we could open up a little coffee stand in the parking lot?
That's not our role. That's not our goal.
So I guess that people could stop at Starbucks on their way to church. Would you do that?
I certainly won't pay $10 for it.
Oh, that's right. You're a Tim's kind of guy, right? Hey, I think you stopped by Tim's on the way to the church today just for this interview. I can see coffee stains on your shirt.
I think it had exploded in transit.
Oh no, that's unfortunate. Let's talk about church potlucks for a minute. What's the mood when everybody has arrived and is waiting for the meal for a potluck?
Everyone is hungry.
Well, that's to be expected. Now, I'd like to know what goes through your mind when you see everybody lined up for the food.
You're here simply to satisfy your stomachs.
What? I don't know that's the only reason they came. We have an awful lot of great cooks at BBC. Oh, hey, what's your take on jellied salads?
But I think they get a bit of a bad rap.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hey, it's been many months since we had a good church potluck here. Do you think there would be a way to have one again and still follow all the COVID guidelines?
I think this can be tricky.
Of course, we would have to adhere to all the safety standards.
I think that's really, really important.
Well, that's okay. We have a plan. We can have everybody wear hazmat suits.
Are you crazy? Is that your plan? That's not a plan.
No. Hear me out. We can have everybody wear hazmat suits. We can have everybody spread out throughout the church. They'll eat only the food they brought. And we can have bleach and UV lights to sterilize all the rooms.
Now, we have to be adults about this.
All right. Well, do you think you can come up with any idea of your own?
No, that's something better than that, I'm sure.
Well, okay, let's hear it.
You know, putting a coin in the machine and getting out a product.
A potluck vending machine. Individually wrapped portions. What a great idea. That's brilliant. Actually, we can probably use the revenues to balance our budget.
What?
Well, sure. Why not kill two birds with one stone here?
I don't think that's what it was supposed to do.
Okay, let's forget that idea. Hey, once we're allowed to have potlucks again, what do you think of the idea of serving escargot?
It would take thousands of snails.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay, new topic. Pastor Scott, we understand during COVID that a lot of people have been spending time learning new skills. We understand that Pastor Eric has been spending time with you, teaching you how to skateboard in the parking lot.
That's exactly right.
Pastor Eric's pretty good at skateboarding, isn't he?
He is the man.
Now, we also have some information that the first skateboard you bought, Pastor Scott, wasn't really a good one.
It didn't work as advertised.
So we understand that you posted some of your early attempts at skateboarding on YouTube, to get some feedback. In fact, we understand that you posted some of your worst falls on YouTube.
Each week I received a little bit of feedback. Last week I received quite a bit.
So you've improved a lot, though, we understand. So what are some of the comments you're getting now that you're getting better, you're getting good?
What amazing thing are you going to do?
And Pastor Eric tells us you are very impressive. You've learned a lot of new tricks.
Some of them might shock you.
In fact, Pastor Eric said that you'll be as good as him by Christmas.
Wow, that's high expectations right there. I think I have a long way to go.
Oh, you're so humble. Let's talk about your preaching for a second. We've heard from many congregants that they don't like super long sermons.
I mean, thanks, Captain Obvious.
So, as a rule of thumb, you're trying to keep your sermons to what, 20, 25 minutes?
That's the key.
Probably never happens, but what do you say when you get the feeling that you're losing the congregation while you're preaching?
Don't go home yet.
What would you use if you saw somebody fall asleep?
The atomic mini pistol.
Yikes! Maybe that's why the coffee ministry is so important here. Okay, be honest. How often do you get a standing ovation after preaching?
Every single time.
New topic. Pastor Scott, we've heard that you had some pretty wild plans for the baptismal tank during the last renos.
So I had an idea of this swirling body of water that would form this vortex that would transport you to another dimension.
Wow, what an idea. So you presented that idea to the elders at the last meeting, right?
Can you imagine the looks in that room?
And the elders conferred like they normally do. And how did the chairman of the elders board respond to you?
He just looked at me, to my horror, with a blank stare. And so I went back to the car kind of deflated.
Okay, almost done. We just have a few random questions to ask you. Listen, the other day, your internet service went down and you had to call your provider. What were you thinking while you were waiting for them to pick up?
How long must I call and you do not answer?
So, Pastor Scott, on behalf of the trustees, we understand that a representative from the Calgary Health Board came by to deal with our ant problem. What did he say?
I thought you had this under control, but you obviously don't.
Pastor Scott, we have a few questions about policies during COVID. Can we have big gatherings at church?
Can we bring our own food and host a dinner?
Can we speak moistly with each other?
Can we walk around without a mask?
Can we drop by unannounced?
Can we come to the church service without registering?
A lot of the answers to those questions are no.
The next question is to show that you can relate to the younger crowd. What does a Pokemon trainer say when he picks a new buddy?
I choose you.
Now, this is one of the things we heard, Pastor Scott, but, you know, you've been working so hard during COVID time here that you're going to have to take some time off, you know, have some me time, maybe go out hiking in the mountains. What did Christine have to say about that?
I've got other plans in mind for you, but you're not going to like them.
Well, your daughters, you named them Triona and Kiera. Now, if you had a boy, what would you have called him?
Oikonomos.
Last question. Finally, where do you think most of our paycheck goes these days?
The obvious answer is the tax collector.
Well, that's all the questions we have for you tonight, Pastor Scott. And we want to thank you for being here with us. But wanted to hear how you thought it went tonight.
I expected you to behave in a completely different way.
Well, maybe so. I hope we weren't too hard on you.
I just want to strangle you at this point.
Yikes! Well, Larry, I think that's our cue. I think we better get out of here.
Well, that's it, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. We know that this is a completely different venue from what we normally have, and certainly considering the fact that we can't see each other face to face. A very challenging environment, and I personally want to thank you, Jean, for all the great work you did, editing all of this, putting it all together, and we are so looking forward to the next time that we do this together.
Hey, and don't forget to submit your answers to the Name That Tune quiz. Send your answers to parodyj@shaw.ca. The email address is below here, and I'll compile your answers. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.